This is your weekly market prep for the week of April 27th, 2025. KD for the Wealth Wells here. We're going to go over the market moving data that you need to crush it this week. We're going to give you the levels. We're going to give you the play-by-play action, the sentiment. I'm going to give you some swing tips, some stocks to watch or stocks in play this week. And we're going to talk about how we did last week, give you the levels and the game plan. I'm going to end with the 2-minute training to help you with your trading. And we're going to do it all over the next couple of minutes. Are you ready? All right. This is your weekly market prep for April 27th, 2025. Are you ready? Let's get it. All right, so as discussed, this is your weekly prep for the week of April 27th, 2025. Let's get right to it. Let's talk about what you're going to need to get your trading to the next level. So you've got the 90-day day trading journal. All the links will be down below. All of these are tools that I use or I have written to help you really in your trading journey and to get better. I use these every single day. How to day trade with a full-time job. There's 5 video trainings that go with the book. I discuss the layouts and the setups in the book. If you want the training a little more hand-holding approach, get the book. And then the indicators, we'll talk about that throughout. So we're going to talk about last week, what we did, upcoming week this week, testimonials, indicators, and the training as always. I want to start out with this awesome testimonial. You can pause the video and watch it if you like. I'm going to just give you the highlights of it. This is from Jason76. And Jason took my Swing 550 training. He didn't have the time to day trade, but he did have the time to swing trade. And he says, I did a one-on-one with KD. He did. Yesterday, I talked about my trading journey so far and to get back into the swing of things after being MIA for a few months. When I first started back in September 2023, I started out with $2,500 in this account. I was up and down for the first months, and then some things just started to click for me. I went through the training. He did. And once I got comfortable with swing trading, I was off to the races. He grew his $2,500 account to over $16,000 in just a few months. Everything was going great, but he said he got full of himself. He took the risk off, and then in February, he ended up taking a lot of losses in this account against our rules, but that happens, and ultimately is committed to getting back to where he wants to be. But I really want to just highlight this right here. This is another testimony. I've submitted many people who either have made 6 figures, 5 figures, now 7 figures. This is another person who went through my training and absolutely nailed it. I'm proud of you, Jason. And even though you hit some bumps, I'm happy that you're back in the community and that your job has smoothed itself out. And I am confident you will do higher than this going forward because you've learned what it feels like to apply the things in my training. But more importantly, some of the things that people learn the best from is losses. I know I've lost a lot of money in the market over the years, and I can tell you it's what's made me a very consistent trader in options, in futures, and in stocks. So congratulations, man. Keep going, and you're going to go to new levels. You'll see. Stick around. All right. So if you want some free training here on YouTube, you need to go ahead and get the 6-figure trader video in your, downloaded or get it in your queue. And then I talk about how we grew and how we are growing a small account to every week. It's a small account challenge. You can come in and learn the rules of the small account challenge, and you can start with an account yourself and crush this thing every single day inside the private channel. We take it. I do a couple $100s a day while in the small account, right? I make more money in the large account that we track. But this was the other day, $314. I do about $300 every single day. We're going to come in about $1,200 to $1,500, and we're going to track that in here at the end of the week. Our last monster week was some weeks ago, and we're back to what we're doing normally, about $1,200 to $1,500 every single week, right? And we're taking it from there. So you're welcome to come into the Discord and get that action there. And if you want to really step it up to the next level, get the paid training, the links are in the description of this video, the core training, the wealth wells training, and then my sniper training or my key setups are there. Areas of interest, the game changers, it's all there. All right, so here's the events this week that you should be looking at that you're going to want to pay attention to. And really that's going to move the market. So ADP, GDP, we're looking at that. Core PCE, we're looking at that. Initial jobless claims, non-farm payrolls, that's going to move the market. Plus, we've got a monster week with some of the MAG7 reporting this week. So we'll be looking for that. Now, that's the U.S. data events that we're going to be looking for. Here are the global events. And we're looking at GDP growth in France, of course, inflation rate there. That's going to obviously give us some inflation numbers coming in really around the world. Consumer confidence in Japan. We're really paying attention in really the dollar pairs that we really like to look at. So that's going to be Japan, that's going to be Euro, and etc. So those numbers, inflation, are going to come in and they're going to impact the market. Now, Tuesday, JOLTS, the job openings report, that's going to really set the pace. So if we're going to get, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't, if you want to just kind of get the goods, if we're going to get our move in the market, the volume is going to show up with the earnings and on Monday. That's what I'm looking for right off the bat. So I'll be trading the overnight action to see how things ease out. So right now for the next 2 days, we got the FOMC blackout. Nobody's going to really be on the mic. And so we don't have to worry about that volatility coming into the market. Here's what to watch for. MAG7 stalwarts highlights crowded earnings calendar. More than half of the MAG7 companies report earnings this week, along with several noteworthy firms in the tech, energy, finance, consumer sectors. Investors will also be watching the president's 100th day in office on Wednesday, as stocks are off to the worst start in a century. Can you believe it? The world's most valuable public company by market cap, Apple, is scheduled to report on Thursday as the iPhone maker continues or comes under pressure from Trump's tariff policies on China. There's no secret there. We know they're heavily sourced in China, so that's going to impact them. It's about 90% of the company's products are made there. After failing on tariff announcements, Apple stock surged last week when it was introduced or included among a handful of tech companies whose products would be exempt from some tariffs. Investors will also hear on Thursday from Amazon, which was downgraded by analysts at Raymond James over its exposure to trade with China. Now, we'll pause here for a minute. There's very few companies that's going to be not exposed to these tariff talks and trade wars. So as you move forward with your swings, we'll talk about that a little bit later, you want to make sure you reduce your risk, and it wouldn't hurt you to lock in profit immediately. So I like to look for a 30% target on my swings. I talk about that in my swing training. And so when I make my swing suggestions, that's what we're looking for. All right. Tariffs are expected to be a driving issue for Microsoft, which is scheduled to report Wednesday. Microsoft is coming off a prior quarter where its intelligent cloud segment underperformed. Meta, Facebook platform, scheduled report for the same day comes as the Instagram parent is really in a Federal Trade Commission antitrust case. So that's looming. That will impact them as well. I believe they come out on the top side of that. So just watch for it. Okay. All right, so moving to Coca-Cola, earnings on Tuesday came as the soda maker global business is still exposed to trade barriers, though analyst JP Morgan said the company is well positioned to weather economic uncertainty from tariffs. McDonald's on Thursday also provides insight on the health of the U.S. consumer. General Mills is scheduled to report amongst questions over how tariffs are affecting automakers. Visa, I like Visa. On Tuesday, I'll be looking for swing setups, and that'll be posted in the Tier 4. As the credit card issuer is reportedly bidding to take over the role of Apple's credit card payment network. That's going to be huge. Other financial firms scheduled to report this week include MasterCard, HSBC Holdings, UBS, and PayPal. All of them are favorites. Okay. If you're in the crypto space, Strategy, or formerly known as MicroStrategy, they're going to be reporting following Thursday. Okay. That's coming after the Bitcoin buyer reported wider than expected losses in the prior quarter. So there's a little uncertainty there. Several pharmaceutical firms are going to be reporting, AstraZeneca, right? Pfizer, others. Then we've got some Eli Lilly, Amgen, you name it. And then energy is going to be coming in, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and then other noteworthy tickers are going to be reporting in companies, Starbucks, United Parcel Service, and the like. So it's going to be a very power-packed week. What we need to focus on, though, is extreme market moving data, and then the earnings will be like gasoline to the fire. All right. So April's job report, inflation in focus. So Trump's 100th day in office, the April jobs report, and the latest inflation data are all on the calendar this week. They're all going to be investors are going to be paying close attention to the impact of tariff policy to begin to show in the economic indicators. So the things that Trump has put in play, now we're seeing the effects on the market, and everyone will be paying attention to these metrics. So the market will be hypersensitive to these. Friday's scheduled release of the employment report comes as the job market has remained resilient amongst the uncertainty surrounding tariff policies. March report showed a surprising jump in job creation, even though the unemployment rate moved slightly higher. Investors will also be watching the private sector, so that's going to be the ADP and job opening scheduled earlier in the week. PCE report, the personal consumption expenditures, it's going to be for March, comes after the Fed's preferred inflation reading came in as expected in February, while inflation remained above the central bank's target of 2%. I think we all understand so far where they are with that. The jobs and inflation data will be closely followed by JP, his upcoming meeting from May 6th through 7th, coming as Trump has increased pressure on JP, Jerome Powell, over the central bank's interest rate policy. Fed officials are in the commentary blackout period. We've already talked about that, or we will talk about that a little bit more ahead of the meeting, so we don't have to worry about any of them talking or spilling the beans on what their kind of personal feelings are toward policy. Wednesday, market watchers will get their first look at how the broad economy performed in the first quarter with the scheduled release of the U.S. gross or GDP product data. The economy grew less than expected in last year's final quarter, so we're watching that closely. And then the consumer confidence data on Tuesday comes as economists watch how the public reacts to uncertainty surrounding the trade policy. Tuesday expected advanced trade balance report will shed more light on the early impact that tariffs are having on U.S. imports and exports. And then investors are going to be watching for the fresh housing data, including the home price index for February and pending home sales, and they're in March. All right. So get the VVP indicator. It's a smart indicator, real-time indicator that I like to use. It helps me get an edge. These shaded areas are the code is setting up areas of interest that I like to see. Just a better way to trade. Learn how to use it, and you'll go to the top. That's for sure. So here are some of the notable earnings here. We're looking at Apple, Amazon. We've got Meta, Visa. I really like Visa. I'll be looking for setups there. Starbucks is on deck. I mean, you got a lot of names here that you can be very, very profitable. But with the uncertainty looming and tariffs on the on the minds of most people, you need to be careful. The overwhelming majority of these companies are impacted by tariffs. So you need to be, even if it's not the active ingredient in a product, it hits you somewhere else down the supply chain. So just know and be careful with that, okay? I've got 3 earnings spotlight or 3 swing setups for you to watch. So these are where you should be focused this week, amongst others. Meta, Amazon, Apple. Meta. Analysts expect Meta to report earnings of $5.20, up 10.4 year over year. Analysts anticipate below street earnings of $4.82 per share and worries about downward revision to several full year metrics, including earnings per share or EPS, revenue, and free cash flow. This is due to a number of risks, such as folks spending less time on Facebook and Instagram, as CEO Mark Zuckerberg said in the, if you read the notes from his testimony at the FTC commission, then you understand that they're trying to make a case that basically Facebook doesn't have a monopoly and et cetera. So, as long as, and he's right in some cases, but as long as Facebook, as long as folks are spending less time and there's no new product or initiative or ad spend change to drop, then they'll be stuck here for a minute. So additionally, President Trump's tariffs on China could pressure ad sales from fashion e-commerce companies like all you ladies' favorite Temu and Shein, right? So That's going to impact fast fashion for sure. That'll impact their sales for sure. That'll impact ad spend, and they spend a lot on Facebook. So watch for that. That means that the setup there could mean extreme volatility if there's a miss or whatever the case is. So you should be looking. I like to see the setup give me enough at my level. I'm looking for a continuation there based on the report, earnings report. Amazon, in short, sales seemingly felt little impact from 2018 China tariffs. The widespread and much larger 2025 global tariffs are a potential new ball game. I believe they are, right? Analysts wrote that in a note on the 9th. They believe Amazon's robust network of first and third party suppliers can help with inventory and product sales. I think people are still going to buy in Amazon personally. I think they're still going to buy. I think they're still going to buy. They're still going to buy. There's so many options per product. I don't think that the introduction of Trump's tariff policy will hit Amazon yet. That's just me. I'd be surprised. I could be wrong. I need to read the full, when the report comes out and they do post earnings, and, we can talk about it. And either way, I don't think it's sustained though. So first quarter results, analysts are calling for an earnings of 1.36 per share. So that's pretty decent. All right. So everything is right now, though, the outlook is below street estimates of 6.25. So everyone has timidity. Let's just say that everyone has timidity across the board. So nobody is going to be projecting an aggressive beat, which means if they do post an aggressive beat, this thing is going to pop. All right. Apple analysts report. We believe Apple's expedited roughly at least 1 million iPhones. So that obviously they had some inventory, right, for the growth of iPhone revenue during the March quarter against a kind of a flat selling season there. But analysts ask that they feel that a weaker dollar could also help Apple's financial or fiscal Q2 results. As such, the analysts recently lifted their EPS outlook for the quarter from 162 to 162 from 156. All right. So keep that in mind. I still think they see a little bit. There's too much buzz around them. We'll see. But that could also mean volatility and some nice volume push. So I'm watching. Those are the three I'm watching with my setups. I'll talk about levels. I'll talk about swings, everything inside the private channel. We don't have time for that in this portion here, but these are the three amongst others. These are some that I think that we're going to get a nice pop with. All right. Swing trades inside of the tier 4 channel. So come on in. Right now, we used to post them right here, right? But as we continue to build out tier 4, I will encourage you to jump into the Discord and get in. All right. So let's talk about levels and what it means for you. Here are the high level levels. All right. So 5, 6, 1, 2, 7, 5, 5, 5, 9, 6, 2, 5, 5, 5, 8, 3, 2, 5, 5, 6, 50, 5, 5, 0, 2, 2, 5, 5, 4, 8, 6.25, 5, 4, 3, 9.50, 5, 4, 1, 5.50. Paying special attention to my trend line here. It's the same trend line we've been rolling for weeks. All right. And as I have accurately, I don't want to say the word predicted, but we could, as we thought, our plan, we got it. We specifically talked about, let's hide some of these levels so you can see, and I'll talk about a trade plan. We specifically talked about the market finding a bottom here. It did, right? And each time it found a bottom, it was paired with tariff pause talks, which you should completely disregard. It has no bearing. But it helps. It's fuel to the fire. We simply needed to have a major volume shift. The market had completed its second leg here, and it doesn't always just do that. You could say it's a third leg too, but we're not going to count the March this time frame right here, the March 26th through 28th time frame. But ultimately, as I stated last week, go watch last week's and the weeks before market prep. I felt like we would pull into this area, back into the value area. I certainly know we will trade in this area here. And so at the open, because we've kept some volume, it depends. I foresee positive earnings pushing the market back into this area. When I see those print, any positive earnings from the MAG7, I will be going long on the market here. And I will discuss the trade plans in a minute. In the meantime, get the volume profile. My volume profile has a specific script to post what I like to see, and I manipulate the volume profile in a way that gives me an edge. So as stated in the plan, I am looking for the push. The only and it's there's volatility, so we're going to have some reduced risk here, lower contract count, and when we're not in profit immediately, we're going to reduce our hold time. When we are in profit immediately, we're going to take this thing to the bank. Now, there was a lot of trades this week that in the private channel, 17, 18, 20 points we're locking in, right? A lot of trades where we just nice movement, and others caught it, right? Others caught some solid trades here as well. And so the trick that we're using here is, obviously I've got my levels. This is obviously what the Discord has access to. So when I see a pull like this and it falls in line with my system, and so the system is going to be right here, the wealthwellstraining.com. When you go there, I'm going to ask that you sign up. I will be giving free weekly trade setups, and I will text those to you. One trade setup, right? It's leading you towards our free Stock Master class and Tier 4, giving you a taste of what Tier 4 does. The phone is optional. You don't have to put that in. If you put the phone in there, I will text you trade setups throughout the week, right? One. All right, that's what I'm committing to. I could text you more, but I'm committing to that. But you'll want to be in our Sunday Stock Master class. It's free for anyone as long as you don't disrupt the meeting, where I'm going over 1,000 stocks throughout the year. And what I'm going to be doing is breaking down all of the elements of how to pick a stock and play, not just putting lines on the screen or technicals. We're going to talk about fundamentals, analytics, macro, micro, everything you need. It is a masterclass, and all of this training that you're getting here will go into a repository and a training course that is free to Tier 4. And Tier 4 will have access to that. At the end of the day, it'll be 52 weeks of training where we'll discuss all kind of major points, and we're likely going to break down your favorite stock. So come on in there and hit up the wealthwellstraining.com, as well as my links has everything you need, and put your information in there. And these game changer, these KD setups here, that's what gives me the edge. So with that in mind, we're talking about this value area here, and I talk about that, trading the value area. I talk about that and how these can be magnets. And we're going to talk about that more. I have levels to my system, and it's more than just I don't use supply and demand. It's more than just a price level. It's a specific reason why a level appears on my screen. And there's 4 major types of levels that I have, and those levels are introduced to you in the training. But that's my plan. Now, what would get us to roll over and try to fill this area down here? All right, we would roll over. Let me just magnify this. We would roll over. Let's do that. And try to fill this area down here beneath 5,380 on catalyst and a rejection off of this area right here. I don't see, and we're going to check the tape when we come to 5586.25. If we don't see the volume shift here to the downside, I suspect this will be negated. It all depends on what the open and foreign markets look like, geopolitical news. We got positive geopolitical news print. We got a positive bond print. We're going to blast through this. This is going to shift to green, and we're going to keep on moving. I do not expect us to get here without a shift in volume, which means the first attempt in this area right here, it means that we're going to see a rejection, and you can take that either way, okay? So all depends on how the market opens. Once it opens, we'll be able to put in plan exactly what we have discussed. So please transfer those over to SPX and transfer those levels over to SPY. You're going to be gold, and then I'll give you all of the intermediary levels and more of the deeper game plan inside the Discord. Discord is free. Come on in. As long as you behave, you'll stick around, and you'll get results just like the rest. All right, so for just 2 minutes here, we're going to wrap up. I'm just going to let you know, all right, this is just my plug here. Stock Master class is something that people have asked for. I'm taking the time out of my schedule on Sundays. Coming soon. It's invite only. You have to get an invite. That's why you need to sign up for it. And it's going to be running every Sunday. And it's going to help you. I'm going to break down my system and the mechanics of how to break down stock. We're not just charting. Okay. What do I do for research? Where do I get my analyst notes from? Haven't you ever wondered that? Why do they even matter? Right? What matters in a stock? What are the different ratios and what makes a stock, worthy of you even swinging it or paying attention to it? Right. And so we're doing this because people have, in the beginning, they've questioned whether or not, how I was able to be green every single day. But now that some know about it, people have more questions to ask. I trade three components: stocks, options, futures. Okay. And I'm leveraging all of those to be green every single day. How am I able to do it? Well, the first part is you got to understand stocks, period. And if you're being honest, even if you don't take training from me, you know good and well you came into the market trading one asset class or maybe one contract or one avenue. You likely didn't start in stocks. You likely didn't. And if you did start in stocks, that's good. Now you can learn how to make even more money by a leveraged product like options and futures. So with that being said, I'm giving you everything I know. It'll cost you absolutely nothing. I don't have anything to sell in that. You know, I'll just tell you what I got going. The same things I always have going: the Discord, my indicators, the training to help you get to the next level. And with that being said, I want you to, click the link, get on the list for that. You'll get an invite and you'll be able to get in. So that's our training. We've talked about the market events, the levels. We've talked about the trading plan. We've talked about what people are saying about this Discord. Remember, J76 guy turned a $2,500 account into $16,000 in just a few months. And people saw it. That was awesome, man. So I'll leave you with this. Listen, you don't get what you want. You get what you work for, not what you wish. All right. The wealthplustraining.com. It's going to be a volatile week, an awesome week. I'm inviting you to come into the Discord and crush it with us. Remember, if you show up, you'll go up. KD signing out.